This is the second time I've seen Rizzo's in a week.
This is my first time in my life.
Try and get pictures also of the fins and also of multiple animals together. It's very important to photo identify these ones.
Rizzo's dolphins. Grampus griseus is the Latin name.
They're really rare to see also.
Yeah.
You guys are getting really lucky.
What is important to realize is that the seas are changing at an unprecedented rate because of human impacts, because of overfishing, because of plastic pollution, because of climate change, because of so many factors. So we need to act in real time. Not academic time, not political time. We need to be here, we need to be in the field, in the sea, gather information and push for changes now and not in a decade.
The Mediterranean is one of the most intensively fished seas in the world. More than 3/4 of its fish stocks are overexploited, and many of its top predators have vanished since the 1950s. As industrial fishing shaves the seabed, it destroys the ecosystems that marine life depends on. Because much of this damage happens out of sight, it remains undocumented, and therefore crucial habitats remain unprotected. Here in Greece, one pioneering organisation is determined to change that. So we're on the island of Samos, and we've come to Archipelagos, the Institute of Marine Conservation, and we're going to try and meet the team and hopefully the inspirational and visionary couple behind it. Is it Anastasia?
Yes, it is.
Hi, how are you? It's Russell. How are
Welcome.
you? So Anastasia, what is Archipelagos?
Good question. So Archipelagos is an environmental organization. We are active for almost 30 years in the Aegean Sea and the northeastern Mediterranean. And it was formed as a way of defending the amazing wildlife of the eastern Mediterranean seas, a wildlife that was unknown from when we started, so we need to discover it and then protect it. And in parallel, over many years, we have developed what we call the International School of the Sea, which is this platform of incredibly brilliant young people from all over the world. And everyone works on their specialty and their expertise to help in this very complex jigsaw puzzle of conservation, to gather all the elements of knowledge we are missing, and to push for efficient protection before it's too late. So in contrast to most universities and research centers, our research is not the aim, it's a tool.
That sounds amazing opportunity for a young person, and having this as a kind of experience. What have you got in store for us over the next few days?
So far it looks that the sea conditions are quite smooth, so we're going to try and survey a difficult area which is in the north side of this island.
Captain. Archipelagos was founded in the 1990s by Theodoros Simpides, inspired by the years of exploitation and routine pollution he'd witnessed during his time at sea working in the shipping industry.
Άρα ποιος υπερασπίζεται τις θάλασσες? Φανταστείτε ότι οι απλοί πολίτες, ακόμα και οι περιβαλλοντικές οργανώσεις που κόπτονται για το περιβάλλον δεν έχουν ιδέα τι συμβαίνει εκεί έξω, στο ανοιχτό πέλαγος. Εγώ το έζησα από πρώτο χέρι.
Over the years, the organization has developed into one of the Mediterranean's most respected marine research and conservation institutes, attracting a new generation of scientists tooling up for a future of fighting the colossal challenges facing our seas.
Okay, welcome to Triton, to the ones that have never been here.
So, we're setting off, but where are we going and what's the plan?
We are going to the northwest of the Fourni Island complex, where we want to explore a new location where we have some new information about a coralligenous site. It's a seamount that starts at around 50 meters and ends at around 150.
When you say like coralligenous habitat, you're talking about coral?
Yes, I'm
Coral.
talking about corals that are found in deeper waters. Wow. So in this part of the Mediterranean, they start at 50, 60, 70 meters and they end up to 150.
When we think of coral, we tend to picture the bright, shallow reefs of the tropics, so hearing this word used in the Mediterranean can come as a surprise.
I mean, normally when we think of coral, we're imagining shallow water, photosynthetic organisms, but you're talking about 150 meters down.
Yes, non-reef forming corals, so they are animals that are forming colonies up to 7,000 years of age. So they grow at the 0.0 something millimeters per year.
Corals are often mistaken for rocks or plants, but they're actually colonies of tiny animals called polyps. These polyps attach to the sea floor, building hard three-dimensional structures around them. Most tropical corals form a symbiotic relationship with microscopic algae, which use sunlight to create food and nutrients. But mesophotic coral thrive in deeper, darker water, feeding on the particles and microorganisms carried by currents, forming vital habitats over thousands of years.
They are incredibly important, and the problem here, as you don't know about these corals, most of the people, most of the authorities are totally unaware. And it is impossible to protect something that we are unaware it exists.
So part of the mission is highlighting that it's there in the first place.
Exactly. Even the fishermen had not seen the images, more so the wider public.
Before this work and the imagery captured by Archipelagos and their scientific partners, the very existence of these deeper water ecosystems was little more than speculation, known only from the broken pieces of coral that fishermen would sometimes find in their nets. But there's still plenty left to uncover.
Today we're exploring a new site. We have been mapping the area for the last 15 years, but this is a never-ending endeavor.
Βέβαια, είναι από τις περιοχές που ναι μεν την έχουμε βάλει στην προτεραιότητα. Καταρχήν έχουμε φτιάξει τους ψάρες, τους χάρτες. Έχουμε κάνει προκαταρκτική με το άλλο σκάφος.
If we find the new coral seamount, we can name it after you, Theodoris says.
The Fourni Islands' strong currents, exceptional water clarity and rugged seafloor create the perfect conditions for these deeper water coral. But this also brings challenges for our captain.
You can see a point that you're at 20 meters, then it's 130, and then it's 250. And this is why we have the currents and the upwellings and the corals and all the favorable conditions for them.
I think we've arrived at the location, but I think they're struggling with the depth. They have put the anchor down, but it's not quite reached the bottom yet.
The challenge is finding a spot shallow enough to safely anchor a boat of this size while staying close enough to the drop-off point that leads to the deep residing coral.
And from there we'll deploy the ROV.
Over recent years, mapping efforts have been aided greatly by the evolution of remotely operated vehicles, or ROVs.
Can I ask you just, how has the technology moved on, and why is it important to you and for your work?
So imagine that only 5-6 years ago, an ROV unit was weighing more than 150 kilos, and the cable another 70-80 kilos. So it was very difficult to navigate and to have the good resolution. So these are 4K image. This all became available around 2020.
Όλο το σύστημα πατάει πάνω στο stabilizer.
ROVs use 8 propellers to move through the water and share a lot of technology with the aerial drones widely used in film and TV production.
Do they all do the same thing?
These reach 100 meters depth, the first explorers that he sends down. This one reaches 150 meters depth and can take a lot of extra tools on top. So this one adds the USBL that is like a GPS underwater, and that one can reach up to 250 meters.
Wow, okay.
And this is for analyzing eDNA. eDNA is the environmental DNA that is left by all species that are in the area.
It's an absolute game changer, isn't it? Where are these made?
These are actually made in China. This technology is a revolution for marine science and marine conservation. We could not dream to be able to do this work 10 years ago, and also with it becoming more affordable, it's something that opens up a lot of opportunities for us and for many research groups around the world. Now, in 10 minutes, we are at 100 meters, 200 meters, and we're monitoring habitats that were beyond reach until very recently. Saying now we are with no lights at 30 meters and water is so clear. Όχι, αυτό είναι Sargassum. This is Sargassum algae. Amber 14 meters, 21 degrees.
What are you looking for just now?
Now we are trying to find the drop-off to go deeper, up to 100 meters, and to see the species. But on the way down, we are recording the different species diversity, and all this video will go to the marine ecology team to analyze at the office after.
For these keen interns, this is their first experience of seeing an ROV in action.
As a marine ecologist, what would you like to see pop up on the screen right now?
Shark.
Imagine that when we had if there's a scuba diver, he can stay at 100 meters for 15 minutes. At 200 meters is impossible and very dangerous to go. Whereas the ROV can stay there for 5-6 hours.
Where are you hoping or expecting to see the coral?
Below 80.
Below 80?
So now we're still at 68.
As the ROV dives deeper, its 4K cameras and sensors relay a continuous stream of useful data, some of which causes concern.
72 meters, 19.9. Having the same temperature from the surface down to 70-80 meters is not normal.
Is that related to climate change?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
I think the problem might be in the cable, so I think that's it for today. But hopefully, if conditions are right, we'll be able to go out tomorrow, find the drop-off, and hopefully get a look at some of these unexplored coral reefs.
That is, it's a hammerhead shark. We do get them around here, but they are critically endangered, so.
And how did you feel looking at the monitor when we had the ROV down there? Because like to an untrained eye, it looked quite barren, honestly.
I was quite surprised that there really weren't many fish species at all. It was all sort of sponges and invertebrates on the sea floor.
That's now 4 fishing boats there on the horizon, and after having seen what's down there on that first ROV mission, I just don't know if they're going to have much luck.
30 years ago, this area at night, there were so many bright lights from fishing boats that it used to look like New York, like at sea. And they used to put the lights out so that they could attract the epipelagic fish. And now there is one pair of boats and he can hardly make a living.
For the people of the Fourni Islands, small-scale cast net fishing has been a way of life for generations, but today that tradition is under threat.
So with 1,500 meters nets, look, we're talking about disaster.
So can you tell us what is the problem with the sea? What's the problem with fishing?
All the year, we don't stop fishing, all the year.
In your lifetime, have you seen a big change here in Fourni? How much fish could you have expected to catch with this amount?
Sometimes, well, it depends. Sometimes you couldn't bring them up because the fish there were so many.
There were so many fish you couldn't even lift it up out of the water.
Yep.
I want you to tell me what the biggest problem is for you.
Those, the trolls, because nobody stopped them, nobody touched them. Imagine, it's one huge bag, about 10 meters. He pulled everything from the bottom, inside in the bag, more fishes, everything, stones, and they destroyed the eggs. That's the point. Non-stop, my friend, non-stop.
Can you kind of try to paint a picture for us about what is happening under the water with these industrial trawlers?
The lower part of the net has chains. There's 2 large metal plates on other sides, and all of this shaves the seafloor. The damage is irreversible. Ecosystems that required 3, 4, 6, 7,000 years to form are destroyed within minutes.
Why are you so keen to find this coralligenous habitat? Why is it so important to you?
Because they're so rare and so understudied. Without the coralligenous habitat, we don't have an ecosystem for over 1,800 species. A lot of the productivity of the marine life depends on the survival of these habitats. So they're important, we need to study them, and most important, we need to protect them. Posidonia seagrass at 40 meters depth. It's very good.
As the good weather begins to turn, we head to a different site just a few miles away. The view from the bridge is almost identical, but below the surface is a different world.
And barracudas.
Barracudas? Hey, now you're talking. So is the barracuda hunting them, you think?
Yes. But they're relaxed hunting. So they're always preying upon the weakest and the not so fit, evolution theories. You see, without light, everything is hiding. So you put the light on.
It reveals the colors. And why is it you can't see the color without the light?
Because of the depth. The first color to disappear underwater is red. So that's why so many species hide in red.
Right, they're red color because that makes them kind of invisible.
Exactly.
And you're still looking for that drop-off.
Exactly, that can lead us down.
You have to say this does look, even to the untrained eye, a lot healthier and more diverse and more vibrant than the previous site. Yeah, you can see how the fish are attracted to the vegetation and to the topography, right?
Yes, it's incredible. See, this is Coralligenous.
Oh, is this our first site?
Yes.
Wow.
This is Coralligenous algae, calcareous algae. So that's the beginning.
To date, the team have explored over 430 square kilometers of seabed in the region.
So did you identify any coral in this dive?
We see the calcareous algae, which form the basis for some types of coralligenous habitats. So we're definitely on a good track.
So that's fixing the carbon in the water.
Yes.
And creating that kind of complexity on the ground, the structural complexity.
Exactly. They're also very slow growing because photosynthesis is very slow at these depths.
The anchor's coming up, you can probably feel the boat, the wind is getting up and it's just going to be too strong to put down another ROV today. So it's a bit disappointing, but every mission of these is a success in a sense. They're gathering that data. We did identify that coralligenous habitat, so habitat where coral might form. But yeah, today the coral itself has remained elusive.
Locating and mapping this hidden Mediterranean coral has been a long journey for the Archipelagos team. Although this trip didn't provide everything they were looking for, luckily Didoros has plenty to show us.
Η θάλασσα αποκαλύπτει τα μυστικά της σε όσους επιμένουν.
Now look at this. So these are the coral that you're talking about. Because they look a lot like plants, but we know they're not. They're animals, right?
Έτσι, είναι ζώα. Εδώ έχουμε περίπου 7 είδη κοραλιών. Την περιοχή σε όλο αυτό το οικοσύστημα έχουμε αναγνωρίσει περίπου 350 είδη, ασπόνδυλα, ψάρια κτλ. Είναι ένα πάρα πολύ πλούσιο οικοσύστημα. Και ξέρουμε ότι πάνω από 1.800 είδη συνδέονται.
These drifting particles are known as marine snow, the vital food source for corals living in the ocean's twilight depths.
Wow, look at this. You call it a coral forest for good reason. Look at that. How long does a habitat like this take to form?
Για να σχηματιστεί όλο αυτό το καταπληκτικό οικοσύστημα χρειάζονται εκατοντάδες ή και χιλιάδες χρόνια. Αρκούν όμως 10 λεπτά η παρουσία ενός αλλιευτικού εργαλείου με σειρώμενα για να καταστραφεί.
So what are you doing with this footage now? Because you've done your work as the scientist, but then it becomes a tool. So tell me, what has that tool been able to achieve?
So after many hundreds of hours of surveys with the ROV and thousands of hours of analysis of this data, we managed to push for the enforcement of existing legislation. In the European Union, you cannot trawl over coralligenous habitats. And now this is applied by law for the first time in Greece.
Wow.
So there's a trawling ban that now is banning trawling activities, fisheries with trawlers all around the Fourni Island complex.
So the legislation already existed that you weren't allowed to trawl over coral. And by you identifying this coral and presenting them with this proof, you were able to leverage that existing legislation to protect the Fourni Island complex.
Exactly.
Fantastic.
Exactly.
And this has just happened.
This just happened 6 months ago.
Wow.
And now we're in a race against time to be able to do the same to many other parts of the Greek seas and the Mediterranean, so we can protect them from irreversible destruction that can happen at any time.
Much like the healthy seas that rely on an interconnected and diverse ecosystem, expeditions like this rely on expertise from multiple scientific disciplines.
So how does this research that you're doing relate to our search for Mediterranean coral?
The plankton that we collect is part of the same ecosystem as the corals and part of the same food chain. So collecting plankton samples, especially from that area which these samples are from, we can get a better sense of the health of the ecosystem.
So essentially we're like seeing what boats are within like a 5-kilometer radius, and they might have effects on the wildlife in the area, noise pollution and things like that.
Together, these data sets build towards a more comprehensive understanding of how these marine systems function and how best to protect them. It's our last day at sea, and as we make our way back to Samos, Anastasia is keen to show us a different area of importance, a place they describe as the trench.
Special area because of the depth, because of the geomorphology of the sea currents, and this is why we have so much nutrients and then so much migration of sperm whales, fin whales, beaked whales living resident, and 4 species of dolphins. So this is an incredible hotspot. We are mapping it as we're traveling. You can easily see the steep drop-off that leads us fast from 500 to 1,000 to 1,400 meters depth.
Okay, this is a hydrophone, so we will read this signal, make some amplification and store it in the laptop for software analysis.
But this can detect sounds in the water?
In the water,
right.
Yeah.
So on a really good day, what would you hope to hear with the hydrophone?
We hope to hear sperm whale clicks, especially when we're passing through the trench. We can also hear, of course, dolphins' whistles.
So what does a sperm whale sound like? Do your best sperm whale impression. Is it literally just like that?
It's like a cluck.
No way.
Yes. Yeah, it's a really metallic sound. It doesn't sound natural if you hear it for the first time.
And they're only here right now, they're in the sea, you hope?
We hope.
We are trying to prove that this is a very important area, one of the most important areas in the Mediterranean and in Europe. But this hotspot still survives by chance. No one is enforcing measures for the protections.
Just like with the coral, the team needs to help policymakers understand what is at stake. So it's essential to gather as much real-world data as possible in order to lay down an accurate baseline against which future measurements can be compared.
Guys, whoever is photo ID, just be ready, yeah? I can hear it. It's really loud.
So loud, so loud.
So spread out, look really well in all directions.
Oh my God, I'm crying.
That's so amazing. It is to think that it's down there, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Normally when they stop clicking, it's because they're emerging and resting on the surface.
Now it's faster.
It's faster?
Yes. I mean, from what I heard before. Can I try?
Yeah. Now it's...
Oh my gosh.
You know now what I meant? It sounds metallic.
Sperm whales produce the loudest biological sound on Earth. Their 230 decibel clicks are used to hunt and navigate at depths of up to 3,000 meters and can be heard for miles underwater.
Yeah, it kind of oscillates, doesn't it? It kind of comes a little... Oh, stopped.
It stopped.
Stopped.
Okay,
Stopped.
it stopped.
Stopped.
It stopped. It stopped now. So maybe we're gonna see the blows on the surface.
So you know, because it stopped clicking, you know that it is coming to the surface.
It's ascending.
And it must exhale.
Yes.
So how far does the hydrophone pick up?
It could be kilometers.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Blow, 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock. There's another one. It's amazing. It's quite far away, but on the hydrophone you could hear it loud and clear.
Another one.
Oh, what? That's amazing. You said you can tell that it's a sperm whale because the angle of the blow comes out at 45 degrees. as we get closer, you can actually see how close it is to the surface of the water. My God, we're getting quite close, eh? Wow. Oh my God. Holy.
Hey!
Whoa. What?
235, go down.
Oh my God, look at these guys. What was that? Are you serious? The captain just said that's the biggest he's ever seen. Oh my God. That was proper. Did you see the tail come up?
I never saw a whale before, man.
No, me neither. But this is your thing, right? What is your particular interest in this?
I cannot even explain it, but if you see one, it's so special. It's such a special moment because it's these huge creatures that we know almost nothing about. We also did hydrophone recordings, and you can distinguish different clans from their accent. And we actually did hear the Mediterranean accent here. So it's like 3 clicks and then a single one. The scientists recorded the whale songs and it reached like so many people. And that's when people started getting involved in whale conservation. That's why we have no more sperm whales again, because they were hunted and there was like almost none left. Just imagine what we could do if we could know what they're saying.
It moves us.
Yes, yes.
In a way.
I also never saw a sperm whale before and I couldn't have dreamt about it.
It's unbelievable. I was just so lucky to have seen that. Like everyone on the boat was absolutely delighted. And I think what she was saying there was really important. It's not just about the science in terms of monitoring and the data collection. But there's only so much that kind of information or that science can do. It's communicating the enchantment and the joy and the experience of having that kind of close encounter that moves people, that actually motivates people to make a change. Like you can have all the information in the world, but when you feel something, that's a different matter.
Πρέπει να προετοιμάσουμε μια γενιά ανθρώπων η οποία πραγματικά θα έχει και τις γνώσεις, θα έχει και τη θέληση ώστε να μπορέσει να τα παλέψει αυτά τα προβλήματα. Γι' αυτό είναι πάρα πολύ σημαντικό να επενδύσουμε στους νέους ανθρώπους.
Hope to see you in the boat again sometime. We hope that too.
In 26 years we have hosted over 27,000 young people from 43 countries.
27,000?
Yes. We're very conscious that this new generation of scientists will have to address very critical problems that our generations are inheriting to them. And it's very important we encourage them to get the skills and the tools and the confidence and the ideology. This is our castle where we're getting prepared, we're gathering our ammunition to be able to defend nature.